What's up, everyone? My name is Keisha, and welcome back to my channel. And I hope that everyone is having a great day, a beautiful day, and a blessed day as always. Listen, so there is so much that happens in life and in your relationship with God, trying to get past and get through all the things that are happening around you, to you, for you. And sometimes in these moments, in these seasons, you can find yourself in a place of crying out, of not understanding, of feeling lost, of feeling stuck, feeling attacked, feeling defeated, all of these things. And so I wanted to come on here and speak about there being power in your plea. And first and foremost, the definition of plea is a request made in an urgent and emotional manner. So this looks like, you coming to God and speaking to him in such a way, and most of the time it's in those moments where we are lost, where we feel defeated, when we don't understand what's going on, when you're trying to find a way out, all of these things. And so we begin to cry out in such a way. And there's so many examples of where people, especially David, cried out, made pleas to God for deliverance, and ultimately God ended up delivering him. And there was a scripture, I think it's in Psalms 32. All of these references to David is in the Psalms, because David constantly plead to God to rescue him, to save him, to deliver him, to help him, to heal him, and all these things. And it was in the moments where David just, had fear. David didn't understand what was going on. David just knew that he was getting attacked from so many different ways. And so in those moments, I feel like a lot of people can sometimes, just shut down altogether. A lot of the times the enemy can, come against you in such a strong way that it causes you to give up and just not even move forward. But no matter what was happening to David, he always cried out to God. And the beautiful thing about that is God, even though sometimes David didn't see God, he still trusted him enough to call on to him for help. Because why? He knew who God was. He knew that ultimately God was the one who could deliver him. Why? Because God called him. God called David to be a king. And although he was not king yet, he had to go through all of these things before he can actually become king. And so that's what I know that God does to us in so many ways. Like, God allows us to go through so much before we actually get to the greatness that he has called us to, simply because he wants to develop, right, a trust in him. He wants to develop something within us, and he wants us to really see that no matter what is going on around you, that you can still call on me no matter what. And another reference is Job. Listen, Job went through hell and back, and people around him wanted him to curse God, but Job knew who God was too. He still trusted God even when he could not see him. Like, one of Job's pleas was like, God, like he just wanted God to answer him. And it was like he was like, in the midst of what was going on, he did not see God. And even when he was calling on to God, God was not speaking to him. And so for me personally, I find myself in a season where, I'm calling on God, but I'm not hearing him. Like, I'm not even seeing him move, in my circumstances right now. And so in that, I can easily break down and just stay where I'm at and feel like, okay, I don't see God, I don't hear God, so therefore God isn't here, and so therefore I'm not going to call on him. But it's something about when you don't see God and when you don't hear God, but God is there. Why? Because you keep going and you keep calling on him. That is the ultimate power of not only your plea, but the power of God. Because if it wasn't God, How do you think you're able to continue to move on and press forward in those times when you continue to still call on God, when you continue to still seek God and still ask the necessary questions? It's because God is still with you, even though you cannot see him and or even feel him. So I understand when people say you got to learn to trust God when you cannot trace God. That phrase in itself is so powerful because a lot of the times people, I feel like some people may just give up or feel like, okay, this something isn't God, or God cannot be in this thing because I cannot see him. I can't trace him. And that's not the case. God just, I feel like, is developing a trust within you, a trust that we had to build up for him, so that whenever we get to the great things, or even in the midst of the hard things, knowing that it doesn't matter what it looks like, that God is there. And I think God just needs us to have that knowledge and that awareness. And also I feel like that the endurance too, the endurance to keep moving forward, to keep pressing forward. God is in the midst of everything developing us. And so I just feel like you have to understand that there is going to be power in your plea, even if you're not seeing and hearing God. David ultimately was delivered. David ultimately became king. Saul could not kill David. Like, even though he tried, even though he sent all his resources and men after him, Saul still could not kill David. He just couldn't. And even in the midst of every single thing that Job had going on, and even in the times where he wasn't hearing from God, even when he didn't see God, in the midst of the trauma, the hell that he was going through, God ended up ultimately blessing him with double for his trouble. And so that's what it looks like when you trust God, when you can't trace him, when you still call out to him, when you still make a plea to him, in the midst of everything that you have going on. God is going to show up in his right time. He is going to deliver you. He is going to help you. He is going to heal you. He's going to set you free. He's going to ultimately put you in position for what he has called you to do. He's going to put you in that position of greatness. He's going to put you in that position of power in the right timing. But first, we just have to go through things and be developed in the process. And so this is what it looks like whenever you trust God, no matter what is going on. So I just wanted to help somebody and to encourage you to continue to cry out to God, continue to be vulnerable with God, continue to show your emotions with God, share your emotions with him, all of these things, because he hears you. He is hearing you, he's listening to you, he is taking account, and he is with you, even though we may not sometimes see him, or we may not sometimes even hear from him. But what we have to do is push forward, is to continue to lean on him, lean on his strength, and know that in the right time, in the right season, like, God is going to come through and answer you. And sometimes it's not even in the way that you expect, but I feel like there is always some level of comfort that keeps us pressing forward, because again, without God, how do you think that you are able to still move on and cry out to him? It's because we know that he's there. We know that he's real. We know that he's listening. So I feel like that is the evidence within itself that God is with us, as well as God being in us. So just know that your plea has power. And in the midst of you crying out to God in the right time, he will come through and answer you.